Bonny Files, research time, journalist.
Common Sense with Dominic Bonny, How to Ambush Your School Board. August 30th, 2021. This week, join host Dominic Bonny as he outlines how a group of anti-mask protesters ambushed a Wenatchee School Board meeting last week and forced the board to either leave the building to continue in accordance with the law or accept conducting a public meeting in violation of the state mask mandate, which carries the force of law during a state of emergency. This episode is a video which is transcribed on the NCW Life article. Part 1. Hello and welcome to Common Sense. I'm Dominic Bonny, and in this episode, we are going to focus on James, Cody, and their boss, Christina, who have given them both a chance to work and earn the day's wage while they recover from serious addiction. Christina and her brother, Joseph Hunter, are local changemakers who give folks in recovery a hand up to a better life. But that's going to have to wait until next week, because this week we have to take a look at what happened at the Wenatchee School Board meeting on August 24th. By now, if you are a Wenatchee Valley resident, you've probably seen or heard about it, or perhaps seen some of the footage I captured during the meeting. It started as an in-person meeting, but ended up on Zoom because a large group of anti-mask activists crashed it and, surprise, surprise, refused to wear masks. Now the whole video is about 25 minutes long, so I can cut out a few highlights to share with you in this episode, and you can find a link to the full video in the show's notes. Before we roll this first clip, I want to fill you in on how I knew that something newsworthy would be happening at the meeting on the 24th. That morning, I saw this post from a local public Facebook group that was set up to support conservative candidates running for Wenatchee School Board. Quote, "I'm freaking gone all week or else I'd be there in riot gear," she writes. Well, I'm sure you can see why that post would pique my interest. So I decided to go and check it out. But my instincts as a citizen trumped my ruthlessness as a journalist, and rather than keeping the information to myself and letting these folks blindside the board, which would make me for better footage, I decided to shoot the district admin team an email with a screenshot and give them a heads up. Somehow, that message didn't get to the board, and they were blindsided all the same. And this is what I walked into.
This is an important conversation.
You can get a vaccine and protect yourself.
People are mousing your muscle. Shower shit.
Vaccines are available.
That's not the alerts. And that everybody here could possibly be elected, but then take an almond scratch to
Which they also have the opportunity to get a vaccine.
We all have our personal thinking and our rights. I was just
and yours is also
that things to more power, and I have my rights, and so do you, and I respect my
since I'm so I take a bullet from this country that's only a vast for meeting without anything pitched.
It's why I would take a bullet.
So I'd ask, we're under the governor's order that we have a mask mandate, that everybody put on their masks. That is the mandate that we're under.
We'd ask that you hear the comments of concerned citizens as superintendent of school board tonight, have the public comment section, and then decide we want to do the meeting.
We absolutely want to hear from the community. Absolutely, sir. Mm-hmm. But I just hope everybody understands that we are under the guidelines of the governor of the state of Washington. We have, you may.
Okay.
No, I recognize what you would have.
Oh, wait.
But
no, I was raising my hand.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, not this.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I might be stuck here. So, but I was just going to ask you, realize a guideline is a guideline, not a mandate is also under a guideline. Okay, so
we are under a mandate to make sure that we have the masks in place.
And we are here to tell you that screw the mandate. We are here to tell you that we paid for this. We paid for this, and we're doing what you want us to follow. So if you want to hear us or not.
I was
not bullying or student
with a mask.
That's like 10.
I'm done.
I'm really sorry if this is. wet toilet paper, we've become that this is bullying. Us trying to talk is this, wow, wrestle your way out of a piece of wet toilet paper then.
I'm not really sure what the wet toilet paper thing means, but in context, I think she's trying to gaslight the guy as well as emasculate him for wearing a mask and voicing concern about the protesters' refusal to follow the rules when asked by the district staff. And although it's the anti-maskers who are causing this conflict deliberately, what I would like to direct your attention to is the school board and district staff, who I think handled the situation as well as anyone could. After that, there's some more back and forth between folks who were abiding by the rules, and this man refused to do so.
Again, we're under a mask mandate.
Let's hear from your board. You just said it's up to the board. Let's hear from your board.
So we haven't started our meeting, so.
Is there a Zoom option for
There is
people who
absolutely
would not
always
like
a Zoom
to
option.
wear a mask in person?
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
seems like a reasonable accommodation.
Why do we have to change our values
Right.
and our way of living? I'm not offended that you're wearing a mask. I'm not offended if you like vaccines. So why do I have to change for you? I could care less what you guys want to do. So why should it?
Carry laws, man. You can't.
It's not a law. How many times do we have to repeat this? It's a mandate. It's just some vomit from Jadolf, and it has no holding ground.
That's Luke, and we'll hear more from him real soon, but I pulled this clip because it really shows how reasonable the folks wearing masks were and how unreasonable Luke and the others were being. Now, wearing a mask isn't a value, and nobody gets vaccinated because they like it. People get vaccinated because it equips their immune system to fight out potentially deadly pathogens, not only protecting them personally, but also the people around them. And you can call Jay Inslee J-Dolph all you want, but under a state of emergency, a mandate carries the force of law, which means you're basically arguing pointless semantics. Anyway, after the board comes in and they begin the meeting, and it doesn't go well, let's take a look.
I now call the meeting of the Wenatchee School Board on August 24th of 2021 to order. And before we continue any further, this meeting was sealing. If anybody new has come into the room, our district is committed to following the mask mandate, issue 5, the governor, demands of superintendent of public instruction. Many members of the audience are unmasked this evening. All have been offered the opportunity to be provided with a mask if they do not have one. A good majority of the people have refused to acquire a mask and to wear one. We respect everybody's right to form an opinion, and we do want to hear from each and every one of you. However, it poses some degree of risk for our district to continue with an open public meeting in violation of the governor's mandate. It is the board's decision as a whole, not mine alone, to decide what to do in this circumstance. And so I'd like to open the floor to the board members to make a motion or to apply for direction. I'll start. I would be comfortable with excusing the staff from the meeting to the extent they're public employees and we're concerned about them as employees. I would also be willing to proceed with the meeting because I don't think there's a clear indication in the proclamation that you can avoid doing business if you have folks exercising their right to participate without without them following the guidelines. So I said I'm in favor of protecting our staff and then conducting just us. Thanks.
That's okay.
Yes. I believe that we should all be wearing masks. That both legally, lawfully, the Secretary of Health and the instructions we have as a responsible board taking care of our obligations and duties. I believe I would like to reiterate the offer to everybody to have a mask, and then we may speak. Like so. But that is my position here.
When?
I will second what Malcolm said. If we can't get the audience to protect everyone, you've seen our staff. We need our staff to follow through with our presented agenda. And if we cannot comply with the state mandate, then I would suggest you adjourn the meeting.
You're not trying to stifle public comment. You do want to hear what you have to say.
Can I ask one quick question? What's the board going to do if the governor mandates that everyone has to wear pink shirts on their sheets?
This isn't a time where we're having a conversation with the public, and right now, the decision is,
Do as I say or leave?
will you wear a mask and stay? Would you choose to leave and go online? Or if the majority of the participants in the room refuse to wear a mask, then it will be up to the board to decide whether to adjourn and to resume the meeting online. In any and all cases, the public will be allowed to participate in public comment.
Now here's School Board President Laura Jakes showing leadership, restraint, and diplomacy in a difficult situation. She lets board members weigh in on what they think they should do, considering the fact that they were in violation of the mask mandate, and it's a public meeting on school property. It's a pretty generous thing to do. See, these protests were a nationally organized event, and when the Spokane Public School Board was faced with a similar situation last week, at their meeting, School Board President Gerald Haynes was having none of it. Here's a quote from the spokesman reviews coverage of that meeting. Quote, "It had to be the shortest live board meeting in the history of Spokane Public Schools. Promptly at 7 p.m., Wednesday, Board President Gerald Haynes opened the meeting by asking attendees to follow Governor A.J. Inslee's mask mandate. Several people refused, and seconds later, Haynes hit the gavel again and led other board members and staff out the door. The meeting continued via Zoom," end quote. Well, things didn't go that way here in Wenatchee, and after board member Julie Norton proposed to dismiss staff and allow the meeting to continue, which was not supported by the rest of the board, they took a recess to allow folks who refused to mask up to leave and join via Zoom. Or they would make a decision on how to proceed if that suggestion was not heeded. After the recess, the board comes back and basically lays down an ultimatum. Put on masks or we're going to adjourn and resume the meeting online. And it's actually school board candidate Matt Van Bogart who pipes up to respond that if you do that, 10 times more people will show up to the next meeting. Here's the clip.
The majority of the participants in the room refuse to wear masks, then it will be up to the board to decide whether to adjourn and to resume the meeting online. In any and all cases, the public will be allowed to participate in public comment. So,
But you can do that, but 10 times more people are going to show up the next meeting because that's what you choose to walk with.
It's an interesting campaign tactic, and I'm sure galvanize the people in the room. But I wonder how average citizens will feel about Matt threatening to bring an even bigger crowd to bully the board at the next meeting. I guess that remains to be seen, but after the recess, since the anti-maskers refused to leave, the board was right back in the position they were before. And again, school board member Julie Norton suggests they continue the meeting, even though they and the school district are in violation of the state mandate, and therefore could potentially lose state funding for the school district. As the discussion begins to wind its way to the inevitable conclusion of postponement and resumption on Zoom, old Luke goes off script and does something I'm pretty sure this crowd was coached not to do. He jumps to his feet, approaches the board, and starts yelling at them. Let's roll the footage now, which begins with board member Maria Iniguez essentially repeating what board president Laura Jakes said about being the primary caretaker for individuals she doesn't want to put at risk.
I am not in favor of continuing without complying with the mask mandate.
So be the conclusion of the board that that's not trying for a discussion. I'm sorry, we're not having a discussion with the public.
My name's Luke Dietrich.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
We are not.
You were mentioning about a kid. I have a 6-year-old daughter, I have a 3-year-old son, and I have a 1-year-old son. And I feel as I'm saying for what you guys are forcing down their throats. The teaching you're bringing them to make him wear masks,
So the
it is unsafe and it is harmful to him. And this is wrong what you guys are doing. You're already going to adjourn and I'll let these slogans on to speak right now before you guys stay calm like Howard.
We didn't make a motion, I have no choice, but other than to adjourn the
If you're talking about my family, I can't put my kids in the board right now.
Sure.
Because they crap
You're not making the decisions to go.
absolutely distressingly.
It's 60 or
Guys, let them hang themselves.
Now, it's important to note how the crowd goes quiet as Luke jumps to his feet and approaches the board. You can even hear the man standing next to me say, "Come on, guys, let them hang themselves," which is an odd choice of words considering the tense situation. But that was it for President Jakes. She banged the gavel and shut it down. But the most interesting part of the entire meeting to me wasn't Luke's aggressive outburst. It was the way the crowd acted toward the majority of the board and staff as they left the room versus the round of applause board member Julie Norton receives after she waits a beat to walk out behind them. Here's the clip.
mandate and they were unmasked and you sat here with us.
Yeah. Try.
That's the discrimination.
We're pushing back like until with the beginning. They go all city fire eventually sit on a strong path.
You're choosing to walk away. You don't have to leave.
Care about our kids.
So just to reiterate, the board just is adjourned for a moment, and they will have to come back and take action.
What's your opinion on this?
I'm staff.
Yeah, but you're superintendent.
Yeah.
As you see, you're part of the leadership meeting tonight. This is their.
You're part of the
But
leadership.
why do they get a choice, but we don't get a choice? I'd like you to tell us.
You got my vote, Julie.
The elected officials are going to be non-elected officials soon, so just saying.
Ready for new boards.
Oh, I'm not going Now what are they going to do?
You've got my vote, Julie. You can hear one man say as she walks out the door. It's almost like she helped contrive this situation and embolden a group of people who are clearly there to disrupt a public meeting and bully elected officials, as well as fellow citizens following the rules. But if I made the claim that she knew about the plan and even encouraged and directed angry anti-maskers to show up and harass her fellow board members, I would have to show some sort of proof, right? It would be unethical and irresponsible of me to suggest this publicly elected official helped direct a crowd of emotional people to take out their frustrations on her fellow board members in order to score political points and win re-election, unless I had proof. Good thing I do have proof. Here's Julie's comment below Anna's post that I showed you before, the one where she was urging people to show up to the board meeting and lamenting that she's out of town, or else, quote, I'd be there in riot gear. Julie saw that post, and rather than urge a more reasonable approach to making their voices heard, she just provided more accurate directions to where folks can find the board meeting. Now, I wouldn't even include this screenshot if Norton had included even one line of text trying to tamp down the emotion, like, no one needs to bring riot gear, please make your voices heard in a peaceful way. If she would have written something like that in her comments, I wouldn't be talking about it right now. But she didn't lift a finger to calm the emotions of the angry crowd. She helped direct at her fellow elected officials. So I feel like it would be a dereliction of my duty to you, the public, if I didn't mention it in this episode. It's unfortunate that Norton made the decision because she had been a guest on the Common Sense before, and prior to this, I thought she was the most reasonable candidate on the Republican ticket vying to take over the Wenatchee School Board. But her actions prove otherwise, and I'd like to thank her and the other folks in the room for showing their true colors. I could interview 1,000 concerned liberals trying to warn their friends and neighbors about a national AstroTurf campaign to take over school boards using fear and misinformation. I can talk to experts and quote books written by very smart people who are trying to warn us about how chaotic a post-truth society can be. But that's like whistling in the wind when it comes to persuading average folks. The anti-mask and anti-vax crowd who blindsided most members of the Wenatchee School Board on August 24th just proves the point that I have been making since episode 1 of Common Sense. They showed us how local politics are going to work if you elect candidates who are willing to use nonsense, fear, and misinformation to win. To borrow a phrase from the Gen Z folks, that was a flex. It was an intimidation tactic, and we should all remember candidate Matt Van Bogart's words. You can do that, but 10 times more people are going to show up in the next meeting if that's what you choose to do. It's also important to note that candidate Catherine Thomas was also unmasked and in attendance, and see her embracing one of the Unmask Our Kids activists. The Unmask Our Kids movement bears an eerie resemblance to the Save the Children movement that helped the QAnon internet conspiracy theory go more mainstream. Because who doesn't want to save the kids, right? Because of QAnon and the Save the Kids stuff, one gullible man in rural Virginia was so worked up, he grabbed some guns and went to raid Comet Pizza in Washington, D.C., because he was convinced the basement of the building was a secret dungeon where the Clintons, among the other elites, were keeping kids so they could harvest a substance called adrenochrome from them, which, according to QAnon folks, is like the fountain of youth. Anyway, there was no basement at Comet Pizza, and therefore no dungeon full of children. It might seem absurd, but the theme here is kids and people using them as a smokescreen as they further their political agenda. These people claim to care about kids, their kids, our kids, yet quite a few people in the crowd admitted to not having kids in the Wenatchee School District. Some were from out of town, some were homeschoolers, and others were too old to have kids in school. I know that because they admitted it to me when I asked them questions during the recess, or they said it to each other while they thought no one was listening. And honestly, I wasn't listening to everything the people around me were saying, but my audio recorder was rolling the whole time, and I heard some pretty interesting stuff later when I went to edit the video. If you'd like to watch the full video recording and even listen to the audio from the recess, you'll hear me asking two anti-mask protesters if they'd like to do an interview on camera while we wait for the board to come back. They declined. The links to the full video, the full audio file, and more are in the source notes for this episode online at ncwlife.com. Once you get to that homepage, click on the full episodes tab, and then you scroll down to Common Sense. This is episode 42. One young woman who is a recent Wenatchee High School graduate thought things were getting so out of hand that she stepped out of the room and called Rivercom. She was told law enforcement would not enforce mask mandates and they would not send anyone to check on the meeting, according to her. I just happened to catch her in the parking lot on the way out, so I stopped and asked her about that. Now, it's interesting that law enforcement refused to go check out that school board meeting that caused someone so much alarm that she called Rivercom. Yet later that week, they did respond to a call from a local gym in where a person refused to put on a mask or leave the place of business. There were about 40 to 50 people doing that very same thing on public property, and they didn't want to respond, which is why public servants and business owners and operators need to start using T-word, trespass. Forget about the masks. If someone is not following the rules in a business or on publicly owned property like a school district office, they can be asked to leave. If they don't comply, they're trespassing, and that's something that is a lot easier to get law enforcement to help you with. So stop calling and saying so-and-so won't wear a mask and start using the word trespass. Because if folks refuse to comply with the rules or leave, that's arguably what they're doing. But let's leave the uneven application of the law aside for now and end this episode with a little comedy and context. A lot of people are wondering why groups of anti-maskers descended upon school boards across the country all in a week. That speaks to a high level of coordination and communication, but it shouldn't be that surprising to anyone who pays attention to the alt-right. They've been laying the groundwork for this stuff for months, using concepts like comprehensive sexual education and critical race theory to whip their base up into a frenzy of fear and anger. There's even a playbook that a conservative think tank, and I'm using that term generously, put out there to help folks like Matt Van Bogart, Catherine Thomas, and Julie Norton win by using critical race theory as a wedge issue. How do I know this? Well, I got my hands on a copy and read it through, and it was a laugh a minute, although I don't think they meant for it to be funny. Here's the PDF titled Combating Critical Race Theory in Your Community, an A to Z guide on how to stop critical race theory and reclaim your school board. Here's a quote that really sums up how they want candidates to weaponize manufactured outrage. Quote, use national momentum on the issue of CRT to win elections and reclaim your children's future. End quote. When it comes to who activists should consider the enemy in this fight, they provide a handy list. Quote, the first step to identify and define what exactly the problem is and who is perpetuating it. This could be any or all of the following: superintendent, some or all of the school board, individual teachers and or teachers unions, a vocal and active minority of parents, the irony on this one, right? Local CRT activists, and of course, federal, state, county, parish, municipal, or non-governmental grants, or other financial support and resources, end quote. If you want to check out this document, I am including a scan of this PDF in the show notes as well. This document and the behavior of right-wing activists at school board meetings across the country proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is a contrived controversy and astroturf nothing burger that a minority of vocal activists in our community are using to bully public school board members. The proof is right here. And in the way they act in public meetings, the question is, what are the rest of us, the majority, going to do about it? Are you going to sit idly by as an anti-science activists harass and bully our school board members and try to take over? Do we want that kind of people who will use fear and manufactured outrage to whip people into a frenzy representing us as elected officials? Time will tell, and it's not up to me. It's up to you and this community. I have done my part to expose these people for what they are. Now, the fate of our school district, our schools, and our kids' education are in your hands. Please remember to get registered if you're not already and vote this November. That's all from me for this week. Join me next week as we take a look at people who deserve screen time and our respect, covering addicts making a better life for themselves. I'm Dominic Bonny, and this is Common Sense.
Hit that subscribe button to stay updated with us. And any sources we've used in today's episode are below or are available on our website at progressivedevilry.com.